That's because my mom was very much interested. She loved music, she loved dance, and so did my dad.
The language that is your primary tongue, you don't have to think to speak it, you just speak it. And your thoughts are structured in that same way. First thing I would say is you were too quick to segment yourself off. I love art because of you, but also because of you. I picked up guitar because you started learning guitar.
I did.
My teacher was your teacher.
Yeah.
Now half of the reason you go to a live concert is to go with your friends, right? But half of it's not even about the artist, it's just about you and your life.
Hey guys, Dr. Nene here. I practice as a cardiothoracic, vascular, and general surgeon, and I'm now a health tech innovator who wants to improve lifespans and lifestyles. So stay healthy, stay curious, and keep watching.
So my thing with the AI, generative AI kind of situation is maybe you can democratize a lot of things, education, this, that, and the other. It's not there yet. I don't think the training is there. It won't replace live performances. And interestingly, in the case of streaming with, the whole debacle where they were pirating music, streaming saved that whole industry. But the debate right now is, how do you manage the IP? And if you remember, a lot of these artists were taking music and sampling it. And as long as it was less than 8 seconds, they didn't have to pay anyone. And they were creating new music from the old music, right? And no one would call the new music the same as the old music.
No.
Right? So I see it as that sort of puzzle, that maybe you can take that and add some nuances and make it interesting enough. But I see it also as a tool that you can investigate. Like now, how do you make your music? You don't have an orchestra, you don't play every instrument, you sample all of the different instruments and then you use them on a keyboard many times, right?
It still depends on.
I know, I'm sure if you're John Williams, you're going to have access to that. But for the rest of us, when you're making music these days, I think most of us don't have the budgets to.
But people may also consciously, even if they do have access, they may consciously choose synthesized or recreated instruments or sampled instruments over live performances because of the sound. At the end of the day, you also want to think about how all of these things will add to an artist's toolkit. If you want to talk specifics about AI generation of content.
So I've taken us down into the weeds. I apologize. Because we're talking about IP issues, generative AI, we're talking about first world problems, which aren't really first world anymore, no matter where you are.
We're talking about the business of it.
The business of music, right? But let's go back to the personal side. I can tell you, for me, music gives me a lot of joy. And not just listening. That's kind of the least form for me, in the sense that I enjoy hearing great music and I enjoy watching it. But would you say for you guys, as well as me, when we perform, when we do our karaoke nights and our jams, through the pandemic, if you remember, that saved us because it brought the family together and out of their rooms and their Zoom calls, right? And brought them into one space. How do you see that going forward? Because it's not an easy thing. Not everyone has that, right? And how do you see its role in parenting for you? And for you as a child growing up, our situation's obviously a little bit different, but it doesn't take our situation to give a kid music lessons or to at least expose them in some context. And I think in India, fewer schools do this. It's always an extracurricular.
Yeah.
In the US, it's part of your curriculum many times until a certain point. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think kids will be exposed to music when the parents are themselves, attracted to that or love music and there's music in the house. But there are a lot of parents who are not that way, who themselves are very driven and they are more academically inclined and that's what they want to push
Are you looking
kids
at me?
Into. No, I'm looking at you because I'm talking.
No, I thought she was talking to the academically inclined person.
I mean, there will be people like that, but I think music is very important for everyone and there should be music in everybody's lives.
And dance.
It's just, and dance, music, some sort of art, because I think it's just the joy, like I said, and a stress buster, like I said. Like sometimes when you're so, bothered by everything that's going on. It's your own space that you can go to, like your own mind palace, if I may say.
And
So,
Your
and
fortress.
it takes you away from everything
Yeah.
else into a beautiful world where you're creative. And I think the creativity is what gives you the happiness quotient. And when you're creating and when you're doing something that's different, I think it just makes you feel happy.
Absolutely.
And
But
that's
I
what
want to
matters.
also address really quickly. It's wonderful, but in terms of access to equipment, I think that's a big
Yes.
struggle.
Yeah.
A lot of these things it's very difficult to pick up because you may not have the time or you may not have the actual
So,
instruments.
so do
and
you
stuff
think
like
there's
that.
a way forward? I mean, could there be a loaner instrument pool?
Totally.
Could there be?
I mean, the first and foremost
In India,
thing
what
is,
could we do?
well,
to
the first and
improve that?
foremost thing is these are methods of expressing yourself. I think that the most important instrument in music is your voice. I think the voice is at the top. If there is a hierarchy, it's one that everyone can engage with, and it's the most powerful. I think that the best songs in the world, the most listened to songs in the world, people's favorite songs, are their favorite because of the lyrics, because of the vocals, because of what the message is too, right? And so for access to music, you have your voice. That's the number one thing. Dance, you have your body. I mean, what else would you say there is in terms of
expression, body, you know.
So-
the
so I'm gonna-
movement
music? You
itself.
have
I'm gonna
your
ask you
voice.
guys-
Dance, you have your body.
everything,
What
yeah,
else?
yeah.
Like, visual arts, I guess.
Visual arts,
You'll have
you
to
have
find
your.
something.
I'm going to ask you
yes,
guys a
yes.
hard question.
The colors that sometimes only the artist can see, you know,
Mm.
and how they come together
Yeah, yeah.
beautifully. All those kind of things.
If you're like grown up like us, originally it's middle class or whatever, how do you convince people? I mean, look, if you're struggling to survive, it's one thing, and it'll be a very hard argument to monetize this skill set directly, right? Everyone stigmatizes the performing arts, saying that, look, it's a moonshot. Same as sports, right? In India, elsewhere too, in the US, all over the place, right?
Well, you're talking about making it your career. You're talking about how can you make
Yeah,
money.
no.
off of it.
So where I'm going with this is, how do we convince people that it's something which gives you happiness, and it's something which you should take a little bit of time out, because I see too many kids doing rote learning and just studying for exams.
Just because I play football doesn't mean I want to go pro.
Mm.
Okay, but how do
The
I
same
convince a
thing.
parent to take time out of their day?
I think it should
And the
be a
kids say.
small part of your life. Then, if you want to take it as a major, like you want to be professional in it, then that's a different thing. But I think it should be a small part of your life.
And what should we be?
Like the schools, they should have a subject, you
Yeah.
know, either music, let the kid choose what he wants to. Music or drawing or painting or instruments or vocal or whatever. I think it should be part of everybody's curriculum. At least one small part.
I love it. I
and
love
then
it.
if the kid is like amazing, you will discover that. You know,
And do you
it's going
think
to be
that the
discovered.
standard schools will have that? They barely
my
teach.
school did when I was
Yours
going,
did?
yes.
And you
mine
didn't go to
did,
like
mine
a
did.
really
No, we
highfalutin.
just went to a convent school which was run by nuns, and we always had a lot of extracurricular activities, and they always supported, you know, artistic kind of ventures, and we always had a lot of competitions all the time, and you know.
Yeah.
So I think along with everything else, this should also be a small important part.
So it's not like Ryan always says to me, Dad, why do we need to learn about dinosaurs? They're not around anymore. What difference does it make? And so this is the same. Like in the US, we used to have band, and they would loan us the instruments. So they were affordable because they were basically free. And the real question is, how do they add to your repertoire? And some people saw it as a chore, no doubt, but other people actually enjoyed it. And the hope would be that you teach it that way.
You know,
What's-
I also feel that all these dance reality shows or singing reality shows, all this, they bring out such talent from our country, from small centers. There's so much talent, and I think it's helping them to come out. It's helping the parents to think my child is dancing, and you know they feel, hey, he's dancing and he has no future. He just dances. But because of these shows, I think when the kids come onto the shows, they get employment later on. They get chances to dance at events. They get paid for that, And I think these shows are also helping people to realize that art is not just, something that has no returns, no ROI, you could say. That there is a future in the arts as well.
And clearly with you, there's a fundamental connect between music, math, mental organization, multitasking. It also is a great social outlet because you need to find things which other people do with you. And so for us as a family it's helped, but also when you go out, if you can sing karaoke, you're a rock star. And so the bottom line is, I think it adds to your repertoire. I mean, golf is another one in the business communities. But if you're a good golfer or you're a good sports guy, you meet a lot of people. So I would say from a business and technology and social perspective, there are attributes where it brings people together. And there's some stuff that's crazy, but music is one of those that's pretty lowbrow. You don't need much equipment to sing.
That's what he said. I mean, that,
Right?
that should be
So
the
to
top of
his
the line.
point.
Your voice is your instrument.
So now, what are your plans with music, Arin? You've come a long way. You've done Trinity School, and
Yeah.
what do you want to do with music? How does it play a role? You're doing all these minors. Where do you think that fits?
I don't know, but I want to develop a skill set that maybe I can produce music or I can help create music and contribute to that scape, simply put. And for my own personal enjoyment. I'm at USC, I have the opportunity to take this.
I mean, it's quite interesting because the lure of a school like that is that they have all of those things available versus going to a engineering or technical school because you were originally doing physics, but you knew in your own heart what you loved. And I can tell you what I observed and what you love. But I think the creativity flows. What other questions do you have for them and in the audience and you too? And what are the things you would say to moms and dads or to kids, Arin, as to why they need to focus on music lessons and it's not just a chore they go to once a week on the myriad of different things to fill your resume with?
Well, I think that music's a very specific choice. I think the real question is what is that one thing that is your stress relief, that is your stress buster, that is your way of expressing yourself? What is that one thing that you wish you could devote more time to? What was that one thing you wish was more important to you? And how can you make it more important to you? What can you do with it? How can you further better yourself there? How can you make it improve your life as a whole in a better way?
Okay. What about you?
I think, what is your ultimate goal in life? What do you want to be?
But how do you know that when you're hesitant?
You don't. So you have to experiment, you have to try
Find your
different things, you have to find your way. I was fortunate that I was passionate about dancing. I just loved it. But I never knew that one day I'll be an actress and that's where I'm going to be using that skill that I have. But when I was dancing, it was like, this is going to be a big part of my life. So even if I end up doing something else, dancing would have still been a big part of my life. So I think people have to make up their own minds and
Here's a
experiment and see what
kind
works
of
for them.
baited question that, ultimately your aptitudes and passions have to come together, meaning what you're good at, if you're also passionate on, it fits, right? But what if there's a case where you're forced to do something you hate with the idea that sometime down the road, you might actually like it. You just don't know it yet. Right? So what I'm talking about is mom and dad force you to take the piano lessons. Jabardasti.
Well, I mean, within a year, you'll know.
One way or the other.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those
If
things
you're
where like, how
forced
can
to
you
do
that's
something
fair.
you don't love,
sometimes
I
you're
mean,
forced to do shit. Maybe you won't like it, maybe you'll like it, but yeah, I guess you'll do it. But
No, I mean, you and your brother both did it. But the
Well, I
question is,
enjoyed
you loved it. Could he have done something else? Yeah, he would like to be in a robotics lab learning how to build underwater robots or
he also
space
really
robots. He likes it, but I
but he
mean,
likes it, he
No,
loves
he
it.
likes
But
yeah.
He likes
like I said, what is your focus in life? What is your goal? I mean, for him, music is a big part of his
I
life.
agree.
And there's everything else too. But with Ryan, the robotics is a big part of his life. And music and everything
And
else.
It
science.
sounds
Yes,
like
and
these are
science,
questions
yeah.
that we need to ask him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, more than him, I want to ask the audience what you guys think. That how do you motivate your kids? And don't tell me that it's just so they can take the IIT-JEE. That's rubbish, because that may not exist in another 10 years the way schooling is going. I won't even go there. But the point is, we need to train our kids differently to be able to learn limitlessly, because everything they think is important right now in terms of skill sets may change. So what I'm saying is find the skill set you enjoy, like playing music or art or sports, and keep that as one of your go-tos so that you can dig into your toolbox at a time when you need it, with all the fond memories certainly, but also the manner of conducting yourself. Because I can tell you a million times over, it brings people together. It's a super secret hero skill set, and you do it not to impress people, but you do it because you love it. In both of your cases and in mine, I love to sing, as you know, and I've just recently taken up the guitar, and I'm going to learn piano and a few other things, but it's just hard for me now because I'm old, I think, and just trying to train my brain to think differently is very different. I mean, you guys had the advantage. So, in my opinion, the three things to say are: number one, teach them early and often, and give them exposure to many different things. We did that. We were fortunate enough to be in a position to do that. My parents, I think, did the best they could, and it was not really something which they understood back then, and something which they came to. The second is, let them breathe. Don't force them to do something they don't want to do, because the tighter you grasp, more sand grains will fall through, and they'll just hate you for forcing them to do it. And then the third is, it's amazing where we're headed. I think with some of this technology, what you do is going to change. Even now, I notice you want to be a producer, but what does that mean versus John Williams producing versus one of these techno guys who do raves and all that and have a full little mixing board?
He'll have to find his own way, right? He will have to be his own person and find his style, your own style.
Yeah.
Of making music.
Pretty much.
And also life. So I think there you have it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode, because it was fun to make and fun to have this conversation. We always learn a lot about each other as well as the world around us when we do this, and I hope you do too. At this point, don't forget to hit the like button if you like what we say. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more episodes like this, and don't forget to share it with your friends and hit the bell icon so whenever a new one pops up, you will be able to see it all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on the show, if you will. And
Thank you.
until we meet again,
Yes.
I'll say bye to you guys, and they'll say bye to you. And
Bye-bye.
look forward to hearing your comments in the box below, and telling us what you think about this, and how, the comments are sometimes self-selected because you won't watch the video if you're not interested. But I would say circulate this as wide as you can so that we can build a culture. Anyway, thanks for joining us. See you.